We shall call this meeting to order. Welcome everybody to Empower You tonight. It's great to see you. There's a bunch of people signed up online tonight, so welcome everybody. We're glad to have you here. And I just wanted to talk to you about a few of our upcoming classes. And we're lucky because tonight we've got our next speaker in the house tonight, and that's Jerry Black. And I'm going to ask Jerry to come up and tell us about his class next Tuesday. Jerry.
Okay. Thank you, Jay. I'm going to be talking about Elon Musk. Now, Elon Musk is an innovator, he's an inventor, and he's one of the most visionary entrepreneurs of modern times. And he's founded many different companies. The most known of the companies he's founded are Tesla, which makes electric cars, and SpaceX, which is involved in space exploration. Now, I'm a retired aerospace engineer, so I'm interested in the space exploration part. So that's what I'll be talking mostly about next week, although I will cover his other companies and a little bit about his life also. So, and I'll also be talking about the most audacious of his plans, that's to establish a city on the planet Mars. So I think you'll be interested. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. That's going to be a fun class. So let me tell you about a couple of our other classes. After that, on April the 4th, so that's the Thursday after Jerry's class, Dr. Jay Rissover will be here. He's done 3 or 4 great classes for us, but he's going to be kind of stepping outside his comfort zone. He's going to be talking about coffee, everything coffee that you've ever wanted to know. And he's going to bring with him one of the premier baristas in the Cincinnati area, La Teresa, and they're going to actually be brewing coffee for us to taste that night. So keep your caffeine intake low that night. Plan to stay up late, and I hope you can join us. That's going to be a lot of fun. After that, on April 11th, and there was a problem with the email that went out, there was no registration button, we're going to be doing a little bourbon tasting. And that will be down in Norwood at a really cool place called, I have not heard of it before. It's called Shumrick and Lev's Distillery. So it's $12 to taste, I think, 4 or 5 samples of bourbon. Hope to see a lot of you down there. Then April 15th, we will be having the celebration of the 10th anniversary of the Tea Party. And that will be the march on downtown Cincinnati. I haven't told anybody this, any of my team yet. I think they're going to be very nervous about this when I tell them. But my hope is that we're going to start out the night. It'll be a couple days before Good Friday, and we're going to try a fish fry before the event. So I hope you'll all join us for that. There's going to be a lot of people you've met throughout the years that will be here that night, and I hope you can join us. If you do join us that night, or if you don't, I'm going to ask that you bring some tea or some coffee as a momentum to the night, and we will be donating that to our Fill the Truck initiative. So any kind of tea, any kind of coffee, it'd be greatly appreciated. A couple other things. I want to let you know that all your messages got to Bill Cunningham. His sister, who comes to some of our events, was very appreciative. For those of you who don't know, he's having the main valve on his heart replaced in about a week. So keep him in your thoughts. A couple other things. How many of you were at the gun class we had last week? So Empower You, Sean Maloney, who did that class, who did such a great job, he's having an event called 2019 Butler County Friends of NRA Banquet. And Empower You has 2 tickets that we would be glad to donate to anybody that would be interested in going that night. Friday, May the 3rd. The tickets are free. They're $45 each. If you can go, if you're interested, see me. If there's more than 1 of you or 2 of you that sees me, we'll have to do a little drawing. Let's see what else is on my mind here. So everybody was got wrapped up in the whole collusion thing on Sunday and Monday. Thank goodness it's over. So now that the Republicans and Democrats are done colluding together for 2 years, I hope they'll turn their thoughts to the $1 trillion deficit that we have. So I've got a little article about that Mr. Roll in the back will hand out to you when you walk out. So please grab one of those. So let me just introduce the team real quick. We've got our producer, Jay, in the back. Let's give him a round of applause. We've got the one, the only popcorn maker extraordinaire, Bill Roll, our treasurer back there. He's on a double batch. Watch out when the coffee comes, Bill. How many batches will we go through that night? And then we've got our great executive director, Betty Overstreet, who I'm going to ask to come on up now. Betty. So tonight's giveaway, get your tickets out. It's kind of a surprise. These were delivered to us Thursday by an attendee at Empower You by the name of Lyndon Kuntz. And she said, I hope that you'll consider passing out this book at your event because of this terrible disease, Alzheimer's. And she was kind enough to supply us 2 books called The End of Alzheimer's, one of which will be in our little library up here, and one will be passed out to whoever the lucky winner is tonight. So let's go ahead and ask our guest speaker to draw the name. Last 3 numbers.
862.
862. Oh, congratulations. And your name is? Sherry Cummings. Let's give her a round of applause. Congratulations. And here's Betty Overstreet.
And I don't think Dan introduced himself, but this is Dan Recknell. He's our managing board member.
Thank you.
Dan's the founder of Empower You. He's also the founder and CEO of Frame USA. I know we have new people here tonight, so I'm going to tell you just a little bit about Empower You. It began in 2011, and Dan's vision was to have classes in and around the city on a diverse number of topics meant to educate, enjoy, and engage you. When Empower You first started, I wasn't working with them, but I did become a student, but they were traveling all over the city. And in 2016, Dan took part of his warehouse and made this studio for us. So I wasn't part of that going all over the city, but I know it had to be hard because it's so much easier here. It really is, having our own studio to come to. All of our classes that are held in the studio are live streamed. So if there's any time you can't make it to a class, just go to empoweruohio.org and you can log in there for the virtual class. If you miss a class, it's up on the website within a day or 2 after our class, so you can always go and watch it. If you're in a class and you didn't catch everything, you might want to hear it again, so you can go and watch it for that reason. We are a free university, powered only by donations. So we do pass around our little red buckets towards the end of each class, and any donation you feel like you'd like to give is very greatly appreciated. We also appreciate any feedback that you give to us, good or bad. You can go to info@empoweruohio.org. We also appreciate it when you give us suggestions for class. This class is a result of a suggestion by one of our participants here tonight. And what a great class. How many of you heard Teresa on the radio this morning? She was great, wasn't she? So you're going to get more of that. When you have a class, Teresa's going to take questions during her class. If you have a question, please raise your hand and wait for one of us to bring a microphone to you so that everyone in the studio, as well as those online, can hear that question. And now I'd like to introduce Teresa. Teresa Youngstrom is a registered nurse with more than 30 years of clinical and leadership experience in the Cincinnati area. She is a certified dementia practitioner with the NCCDP and a PAC certified independent trainer. She has extensive experience in the hospital and healthcare industry and is the local expert on dementia and Alzheimer care. Teresa is also the owner of A Better Approach to Memory Care. Her knowledge, hands-on demonstrations, and personal experience stories will provide you with many new tools to use with your clients and family members. Please give Teresa a warm welcome.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me here today. What an honor, and how exciting it was to be on the radio this morning. That was really great, so thank you for listening. I want to give a shout out to Crossroads Hospice and Palliative Care because they did sponsor the event tonight for me to be here with you, in addition to Empower You. So, and thanks, just Dan, Betty, and the team. This is just quite an honor. I do an interactive class, so may ask you to get a partner at some point in time, and we'll do some things together. So I appreciate dementia probably because it struck my family, right? Because as a nurse, and I've just had the privilege of working in so many areas, I would have thought after some years I would understand dementia. And I thought I did until it struck my family. And then I thought, oh my goodness, this isn't like the textbook at all. This isn't going to work. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. She yelled at me. She threw me out of the house. Wait a minute. That's not what the book said, right? But this is a tough disease. It's really tough. And so I went back and got a lot more training. And what I learned was there are right and wrong ways to approach these patients. It's interesting that Brian on the radio this morning, for those of you who weren't there, he made a comment about a relative who had cared for somebody and ended up having to go into the nursing home because the challenge were too great. She got so mean. They get mean, don't they, is kind of what he said. And I thought, you know, that is a very stereotypical description of people with brain disease. But what I've learned is that what if we switched it around and I put you in the position of the patient? And what if you're in bed? Sorry, I keep cutting out. Do I need to stand in a particular spot? I'm not a podium person, so it keeps cutting out a little bit. Okay. What if, you know, you're resting in your bed and I come flying in and say, hey, oh gosh, why did you call me? Goodness gracious, you're wet. Get up, get up. You know, do you think he's going to sock me? And whose fault would that be? It'd be my fault. You can say it. That would be my fault. And I'm just here to tell you that there are things that we do sometimes in our care because this type of care doesn't come naturally. It doesn't come naturally, and it needs to be taught. Now, I mean, compassion, you can be very compassionate, but what I noticed is that I was seeing really compassionate, empathetic caregivers, family members, getting kicked and punched and cussed out and thrown out of the house, like me. That wasn't good. And so I thought there's got to be a better way. It takes more than just caring. So there's a better way. So we're going to talk. Oh boy, I'm cutting out, guys. Sorry, don't mean to. All right, let's get started. Confidence instead of. So that's what we're doing today, because I want you to walk out of here with some more knowledge about the disease. I don't want to scare you. I want to empower you. I want to give you the tools, right? I want to give you tools. So when you walk out of here and you see that next person that's not making sense, and you've seen them, they're in the community around you. Now, I was at the grocery store and the lady in front of me is trying to pay for her groceries. And the cashier, I'm $26.49. It's $26.49. This poor little lady, she's going through her wallet. Coupons, handing her the coupons. No, ma'am, it's 20. Do you have money? Do you have a credit card? And this poor lady's starting to get really afraid and really frightened. In her hand was her credit card, right? It's all around us, guys. I would venture to say that if you're 65 or older, 1 in 4 of our 65 and older have some symptoms of dementia. When you get to be 80, 85, it's usually 50%. So what I told Brian on the radio, he kept asking, is it genetic? What's causing this? And I said, you know, there are a lot of theories about what's causing this. But what I can tell you is right now, it's age that a risk factor, okay? Just your age. All right, let's get started. I'll get down my rabbit trail. All right, let's take a quiz and just see what you already know. All right, so tell me about this guy right here. What's going on? Come on, I want class participation. Okay, broken leg, broken ankle, something's broken, right? What are the limits for this patient? What do you think the deficits are? What do we got to be careful of? Steps, good. Falling. Try not to bump him. Yeah, let's give him some room, right? All right, so you guys are great. How about this guy? He's blind. Pretty put together. We've got professional looking gentlemen. But what do we have to be careful about with someone like this? What are we going to do to help keep him safe? Right? He definitely could trip on something if we leave stuff out. Yeah. We don't point him towards 275, do we? Right? Okay. She likes to put her arm inside the arm of a blind person and help them in that way. Okay. Good answers. What about this lady? What can you tell me? She's sweet, isn't she? Yeah. She looks nice. What else? Maybe looks happy. Okay. Maybe a grandma. She's got there's a little bald head sitting there on her lap, right? She can handle a joke. Okay. She thinks she's funny. Okay. This is my sweet mama. Okay. And the sad thing is, you guys can't tell she's sick. That's what makes this disease so tough to manage, because we sometimes don't even know they're sick. I wish she still looked this good. She's amazing. My parents are my heroes, right? They raised 8 kids. Woo! They're still going. And my dad has her at home in the hospital bed, right? With a Hoyer lift, putting her in the wheelchair and putting her back to bed with a team of help. Okay, so that's something I do in the community is I will do consults with families who don't know what to do with, we're just not sure what to do anymore. Things are getting pretty hairy at home. And, mom keeps putting silverware in the refrigerator, then dad yells at mom, and then things fall apart. And so I can come in and have a consult like that. I do speaking events, but what I love to do really is staff training. So I'm getting into the hospitals and nursing homes and in places where retirement homes and getting to train people. But it's expanding. I actually got into an insurance company, wanted to have me come in because they said, our folks are working with people across the desk, and sometimes things blow up because the one person doesn't understand what the other one's saying, and all of a sudden they're having a big fight in front of us. And I'm like, well, that would be a good thing, right? So, and I'm going into churches. So part of my ministry, just so you know, I'll do free speaking events in your place of worship, whatever place of worship. Okay, because there are a lot of people hungry for techniques on how to work with folks with these brain diseases. Okay, what do you already know about dementia? What are some symptoms you already know about dementia? Memory loss, okay. Usually short-term memory is affected first, all right? If things stop sticking, right? The long-term memory stays a long time. So maybe that's a great way that you can engage somebody that has brain disease. Don't ask them questions about what happened yesterday. Take them down memory lane. Let's look at that photo album. Or better yet, they may tell you a story down memory lane. Okay, what else do you know? Confusion. Okay, we get confused sometimes. That's right. And we can get agitated if we really don't know what's going on. That can definitely be a part of it because our brains just aren't working right anymore. My language and cognition are on the left side. That seems to get damaged first. The right side is where, prayer lives. That's where music, rhythm, that's where that lives. But those bad words live over here on the right side. And they come flying out if you get me stressed out, all right? And your mother may say things you didn't know she knew and shock your shorts. And you're like, Mom, all right? But it doesn't mean that she's trying to be vulgar or she's trying to throw you out of the house. Because I got to tell you, the first time she told me to get out of her blankety blank house, I went and cried and couldn't understand why this was happening. But now that I know she's not directing that towards me, something's definitely wrong. Something's got her agitated, but I need to be a detective and not a judge. I need just to not turn and say, she's so mean, she knows what she's doing. And I have family members say that to me. She knows what she's doing. She's just mean. She's like that all the time. I'm like, wow, time out. It could be we frightened her, we came in too quick, right? They don't understand, and so that scares me. That scares me when I don't understand. And then I can't grab the right word, and so I just say something like, get out of my blankety blank house. It doesn't usually mean that that's what they want you to do. So I would pause and become the detective. I had one lady I worked with, the family said, she's super mean. You're not going to get in the house. And I said, well, we'll see. So I knocked on the door, and she opened the door, and she said, get out of my, I better not cuss here, get out of my blankety blank house. I'm a millionaire, and I don't need you. I went, hey, Teresa the nurse, can I come in? And she said, okay. She let me come in, sit on the couch, and we visited for a while. She was having trouble being mean. Once I helped them get her help, do you know what we found out? 10 ingrown toenails. So if you have constant pain, are you going to be mean? You bet you are. Yeah. So that's what I want to say. When you're getting someone giving you a lot of rage and a lot of fight back, let's be the detective and see if we can pinpoint what's going on, right? Are they in pain? Are they hungry, thirsty? Are they not sleeping, right? Is their sleep cycle all messed up, right? These are basic things you need to be able to live, right? You got to eat, you got to drink, you got to sleep. And if they're not getting met, then things are going to get a little hairy. Okay, what else? I'll tell you what, for the sake of time, since I want to do questions, I'm going to go ahead and get through this list. And you guys have my list, so let's go on. Memory lost, getting lost. That's a scary one. If you've got someone who's called into elopement risk, they're the ones that at 2 in the morning decide they got to get to Kroger's because they got to get that ham because that ham's on sale. It's only going to be on sale this week, and I better get there before I got to get it before she gets it, and I got to get it at 2 in the morning, right? And it probably isn't on sale anyway. So that's scary. Those folks that are elopement, the ones that get lost like that, very scary, all right? So we have to be very careful. Maybe we need alarms on the doors and windows for those people, right? Maybe we need some type of camera system that when she opens the door, you can see, it pops up on your phone. Doors open. Sometimes they never leave. I sat behind a lady in church like that, and she'd pick up her phone. I'd see her. I said, who is that? She goes, oh, my Aunt Betty. She usually doesn't go out. But she had a system where it would pop up on her phone when Aunt Betty opened the front door. And then if she did step out, she'd call the next door neighbor. But usually Aunt Betty would just stand there a little bit, look, and then she'd close the door and go back in, and everything was fine. But this getting lost thing is very scary. Driving their car and getting lost. There are a lot of people driving cars right now, guys, that probably shouldn't be driving cars. So yield. Everybody yield. When they're merging on, yield, right? Don't mess with them. Anxiety, depression, hallucination. Probably one of the hardest ones, the hallucination part. We see this a lot in Lewy body dementia, okay? All I can tell you is if you come across someone who's having hallucination, whether they're saying, get these kids out of here, I can't deal with this, get these little kids out of here, then you come alongside and you chase those little kids right out of there. Their reality is what is real. We don't try and get them to come back to our reality. It's a mistake. It doesn't work. That is so foreign to them. You are crazy. They think you're crazy, right? And then they're going to say, get out of my blankety blank house. All right. So you chase those, whatever, it's rats, it's spiders, it's dogs, whatever's bothering them, you get in there and you order them out of there and let her know, we'll take care of that. If they come back, you let me know. Okay. You'll have a lot more success in trying to say, now, Mom, you know, there's no little kids in here. Because what's she going to say? Get out of my blankety blank house. Right? She's going to fight with me. She's going to fight with me because in her mind, it's what is real. And we got to go with that. Can I fix what's going on in her head? No, I can't. But I can certainly come alongside and help her have some peace in her mind. And if I go and tell her that that's not real, you're doing this again, I told you before, yada, 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 it just scares her. It would scare you all if I said, hey, got news for you. This is our new home. It's going to be great. It's assisted living, but you're going to love it here. It is a locked door too, but you're going to love it here. And we're going to all have life together. All right. It's the year 2035, right? Who knows who the president is, right? Probably one of your kids. I don't know. So, but you can imagine if someone came in to you with that type of information, you're going to throw your hands up and say, you're crazy. Get out of my blankety blank house. But you can see how that would scare somebody. So why are we surprised when they go into a rage when we try and give them information that they can't handle or they can't process, right? Our job is to get in their world, come alongside, give them joy in the moment. That's what we're supposed to do. Unable to perform simple tasks, can't bake those cookies anymore. The routine is just the organization of that. What do you put in the bowl first? A lady told me just recently they got to mom's for Thanksgiving dinner, and she always baked the pies, and they couldn't wait to get there. They knew she'd been slipping, but they all had been kind of saying, she's doing okay. You know, just kind of, she's doing okay. Kind of a blind eye to what the problems were. They got there, and she had 2 pair of tennis shoes in the oven, cooking those bad boys right up. Just cooking them up. They didn't smell like apple or cherry pie. They didn't. Okay, so that's when we got to get, she needs our help. She needs our help before she hurts herself. Confusion as the evening hours approach. What do we call this a lot of times? Sundowning, yeah. And you know, the research doesn't really tell us what sundowning really is. All we're sure is that they're exhausted. All right, so I had a lady call today, and she said, Dad's having more trouble with sundowning. And we tried to take him out to a birthday party. My goodness, it was just 4:30, but by 6, he was agitated and irritable, and we hadn't even opened the presents yet. And I said, well, he was exhausted. You took him out of his environment, put him in a different environment. That alone will make my brain kind of go, woo-hoo, woo, because you've erased my slate. Now I'm going, where am I? So that's a little bit of fear we added on right there. Put a brain disease on top of that, and then his brain is just going, driving the car, all of that. So maybe we have to make his events earlier in the day, right? Maybe we don't take him out of his environment all the time now. Maybe we have the party where he lives, all right? And then when you notice them getting agitated, time to go. Or maybe it's just time for him to go to bed, all right? Okay. Declining social skills or social interactions. Have any of you had experienced this? Have you ever been with somebody and something inappropriate happened? Well, do you want to share? Yeah? Oh, sorry, we got a mic coming. Thanks, Dan.
Bunch of people online tonight.
Right behind. Yes.
Me again, Barbara. My name is Barbara.
Hi, Barbara. Thanks for coming today.
I'm recollecting, which I didn't know at the time. My daughter lives in Australia, and her father-in-law, you know, he had gone down this path, but we didn't know what that was.
Oh,
It didn't have a name
okay.
because it hurts the family.
Yep.
And one day we were out in an area like a farmland, and he took off on his own.
Oh, dear.
But like his wife, she was with the grandkids, and I followed him, except he went into the men's room, and I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So I waited for him to come
Good
out.
for you.
And then he did kind of go back, but you know, it's like he just took off,
Right.
and he didn't know
Didn't tell
that
anybody.
he was getting away from everybody that was.
Right.
That he
They
knew.
usually don't even realize
Who's
that it's a
scared?
problem. Okay, good. Thank you for sharing that. Something else? Yeah, right here is one, Dan.
Hi, this is
Hi.
Maggie.
Hi, Maggie.
I just figured it out listening to you talking about having things earlier in the day.
Uh-huh.
My mother lived at home till she was 97.
Wow.
My sister and one sister and I, there were 4 of us,
Wow.
4 girls, but 2 of us made sure that she could stay in her home.
Okay.
And she had been by herself. My dad died at 66, so she'd been by herself for a long time.
Mhm.
And so we did everything for her. Well, when she hit 97, my brother decided to put her in a home.
Oh, dear.
Okay, it was a nice home.
Uh-huh.
And when she was going to be 99, we were going to have a big birthday party for her. And we invited the seniors that my mother had been real involved with. We invited them all to come up to the home and have a party. Well, we got my mom all ready and everything. And the seniors it was an outing for them, so they all showed up early.
Oh, dear.
And here's my mom, and we hadn't opened presents or anything. And all of a sudden, my mom started getting so upset, and we didn't know what was going on. And you know, we had everything, the food and everything, but we hadn't gotten into anything. And she just got so agitated.
Okay.
We were embarrassed. And so they took her, she was in a wheelchair. So they took her out into the parking lot where they had a statue of the Blessed Mother.
Okay.
And left her out there. I mean, they stayed with her, but stayed out there for a while until she calmed down. But we were so embarrassed because all these people were ready to
Right.
party hardy, you know, and
Right.
we had to bring her back. So we had to wrap it up pretty quickly.
Yeah, so you saw that, where
Yeah.
she got overwhelmed, and
And-
then guess what? Not only, well, do you have something else?
This was like 4 o'clock,
Aw.
5 o'clock.
Yeah,
you
so it
know.
could be just, she's in a new environment. When you move these people to a new environment, I'm not telling you that that's a bad thing. We have to have balance. So if things aren't going well at home anymore, 70% of those caregivers die first. The one that's at home trying to keep the peace. Okay, that's why they need a team in there helping to keep things going. But if 70% of them die first, if things are out of balance at home, then moving to a home is then we have to find the right place for you to go, and that's okay. No guilt about that, right? We have to have what's best for everybody involved. But I'm just saying that when you pick me up and you put me in a new environment, you have erased the sheet in my brain. And if I can't get my short-term memory shot so new information doesn't stick, this is very scary. And I know you told me where the bathroom is, but I don't know where the bathroom is. None of this looks right. And I want to go home. Right, and we hear that a lot. So working with this disease can be very unpredictable. I heard a lady tell me once, it's like learning a dance step. All right, and just as soon as you think you got their dance step figured out, right, we're doing the two-step today. Right, we're doing the two-step, and you're in a groove with this patient, and your mom or your dad or your uncle, your aunt, and you think you know their routines and everything, and daggone if they don't change the dance step, because this disease is always changing. So it's difficult. So you got to roll, and you did great. You moved her away, and you know what else you did? Just on a side note, prayer is on the right side of my brain. That stays a long time. So if you have somebody who was prayerful, and that was something that helped calm them down, wow, do you have a gift of a tool to pray with them, and that'll help get them calmed down real quick. So that was actually a good move. Okay. All right. So social skills, social interaction. They become a little bit more shy because sometimes they catch themselves messing up, or, oh, I'm getting forgetful. And then it's like, oh, I just don't want to go anymore, which can be good and bad because now I'm engaging even less. So I'm not interacting as much, and things just kind of start to decline. All right. It's hard. Defensive, never wrong, always the victim. You haven't experienced any of that, have you? No? Yeah, so that can be a real thing. Can you win an argument with these folks with brain disease? No. All of you say, no. Now, some of you have tried, I can tell. You cannot win an argument. Okay, it's not worth it, and it's not fair. How about that? Yikes, it's a brain disease, guys. It's a brain disease. So they don't deserve us to be arguing with them. If anything, we got to come alongside, and you'll hear me talk later about how many times you should say you're sorry, right? To help keep the peace. It's a brain disease. So they're never wrong, always the victim. Paranoid and suspicion is a part of the symptoms. Paranoid suspicion. Why are you stealing from me? Why did you take my purse again? Okay. I can teach you some techniques on how to work around that. All right, here we go. Paranoia, suspicion, wandering, trouble sleeping. My sleep cycle can get really messed up. Next thing you know, I'm up all night and I'm sleeping all day. I'm all turned around. Unable to follow the conversation. So a lot of these folks, by the time you're seeing symptoms, they may only catch every fourth word of what you say. Or maybe they don't hear the consonants on the front. So one time I had a class of students, and I said, okay, I want you to ask the lady next to you if you can borrow her pen, but you can't use the first consonant of any of the words, and see how well we communicate. Not very well. Not very well. And then sometimes the language part of our brain is damaged and we can't talk at all. Oh, devastating. That's a really tough one. All right. Lack the initiative for hygiene. Well, it's a common problem. And you come in and say, it's time to get your shower. And they say, I already showered. I already did that. I already did that. And you're going, well, it doesn't smell like you did that. Time to get your shower. Okay, so we'll talk about some techniques for that too. That's a common problem. And here in this disease, guys, what I want to teach you is that we need to pick our battles. We got to pick our battles. Because let's turn the table, and if we were the patient, right? It's so hard being inside their head, and from their perspective, it's so scary. Things are changing. I get overwhelmed so easily, right? I don't understand. I don't understand. And you keep saying you told me, but I don't understand. Okay? And this disease goes, okay? We don't have a cure yet. Have a cure, but until there's a cure, there's care, and that's what I want you to know. I want you guys to know about care. Yes, sir. Wait 1 second. Dan's on the way.
I was an EMT for many years and
Thank you.
came across a number of people that were combative,
Okay,
as we always put it.
sure.
Some of them were able to calm down, and some we had to, well, we just weren't working right, I guess, and we had to use restraints in order
Right.
to transport. But I do see that some of these are kind of intertwined with each other,
Yeah,
very much so.
yeah.
Do you work with EMT type people?
It's on my list to work with first responders. It's definitely on the list. Yeah, I've only scratched the scratch. So yeah, I've just had my company for a year, you all. I've been a nurse a long time, but I've just been doing what I do for the last year. So it's on the list. First responders, because they're getting punched, kicked, and cussed at too. And that's just because you frightened me and all I have is my right side brain. So I'm using what I have. The limbic system, the brain is an interesting thing. And even though different parts get damaged when we have different diagnosis, different disease going on, the limbic system, the part of my brain that develops first and stays till the end, that's my fight, fright, or flight. Some people say freeze is in there too, but that's fight, fright. And so what that means is if someone tries to get into your car when you're at the grocery and you're getting ready to leave, what are you going to do? Fight with all your might. You're going to fight them, aren't you? Someone tries to grab you, you're going to fight them. Well, that's kind of what happens to the patient, right? And that's the limbic system. And my amygdala gets fired up and I'm going to beat you up till the death. And I'm going for it, right? Guess what? But the front part of my brain, the woe, the safety part, the discernment, that gets damaged early on too. So what happens when my ability to calm myself down or be able to discern how mad I should really be at you, once that's damaged, you might do something really small, like bump me, but I hit you up like you've threatened my life and I'm cussing at you and carrying on and, right? Because my prefrontal cortex gets damaged, my woe. It's kind of like, when someone cuts you off on the interstate, you don't run them off the road, right? Your brain says, you might say something like, jerk, right? But you don't run, you don't crash your car over it. That's because our prefrontal cortex works, our woe, our safety net. This we lose first. The safety net, this part of our brain develops later, it develops like into your 20s. A lot of times, especially for males, your safety awareness develops like when you're close to 25. You guys that drive fast and do reckless things on motorcycles and all that stuff, that's because your prefrontal cortex develops later. All right, so your safety awareness develops later. But unfortunately with this brain disease, when that's damaged, that's why a tiny little deal becomes a tremendous deal in their mind because they don't have the ability to calm themselves back down. We have to use tools to do that. We can use prayer. We can say we're sorry, right? Alongside, we say we're sorry. Apologize for that, okay? Sorry is one of the best diffusers of agitation that you have in your toolbox. Use it, okay? And you got to make stuff your fault. Was it your fault? Probably not. But brain disease, that's not their fault either, but it's a brain disease. So I want you to be able to be humble, to accept responsibility for what's going on and be able to apologize. If your ego is bigger than your heart, this will be a tough journey for you. Because if you want to be right all the time, you're going to have a lot of fights on your hands, okay? So we're going to have to pick our battle, brain disease, and we're going to have to love them through this. That's what we have to do, okay? That's the key. So much more. So just to give you some information about dementia, and how it relates. A lot of people think dementia is Alzheimer's, but it's really not. I told Brian on the radio today that this is a common mistake that people make. And dementia is really the collection of those symptoms we saw, right? So you start having those symptoms, and the doctor says, oh gosh, you're experiencing dementia. But there are treatable things that give us symptoms that are important for us to get to the doctor and get checked out. Because what if it's just your thyroid? I had a patient come to me about that. The wife said, he is not right. He is not making sense. He is not right. Something is very wrong. And of course she's thinking it's Alzheimer's, the dreaded. Well, she took him to the doctor and it was his thyroid. And after about 30 days of getting him regulated on the right medicine, guess what? He's back. Super cool. So that's why when people come to me and they're saying, well, we're seeing X, Y, and Z and A and B, and I said, okay, when's the last time they've been to the doctor? Is there any chance there's a urinary tract infection? Has anyone ever known someone who had a urinary tract infection and they went to the hospital because they thought they had a stroke? Right. When I worked in the ER for a long time, and if you want to hear some real stories, I could tell you some stories about working in the ER down at UC full-time nights for a while. But half of the patients that came in by squad with mental status change, we got a urine specimen and they were a urinary tract infection. Okay, that can make you really look bonkers. So but that's treatable. Still, it's treatable, right? Might be a B vitamin deficiency. Anyway, so there's some things that give us these symptoms of dementia that aren't always this terminal brain disease. So get it checked out. Alzheimer's is probably 60% of all the people that experience these different, these symptoms of dementia. Alzheimer's is probably 60% of the time, the diagnosis, which is, again, it's chronic, debilitating. It is a slippery slope. It starts off with memory type challenges. It's a mental type thing, and then it turns into a physical type thing. It'll eventually rob our bodies of everything we have, right? We kind of cripple, right? Our bodies kind of get pulled up into fetal position if we live that long, if something else doesn't take you. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but it is fatal. Now, vascular dementia is probably the second biggest category. So your folks that have stroke-like issues, right? Mini strokes or maybe a big stroke, but it's related to vascular type problems. And those folks tend to stair step, like they'll stay kind of at the same place for a while and boom, they'll have a little bit of they'll have a stroke or something, and then they'll change. Maybe then they can't feed themselves for a while. They got new increased weakness on one side. Maybe they're not walking great again. And then they'll stay there for a while. It's kind of, they stair step more typically. If they don't, we're hearing now that maybe they can live 30 years with this disease. That scares you financially, right? And that scares you financially. The Lewy body, that's a tough one. That's when we actually get a little something, a Lewy body that plants itself inside those nerve cells and makes it die. That's a really tough one. Lots of hallucination with that one. Very, very, very challenging. We got the frontotemporal lobe, and then there are a lot of genetic things, but I always like to point out the difference between, say, a Parkinson's starts with physical challenges, and then there are a lot of those, probably 50% of those people do get dementias later in the disease. It becomes a mental disease too. But your Alzheimer's type people, they start off with a mental disease, and then the physical comes later. You understand the difference now? Okay, so the reason I tell you that is because just if you have these symptoms of dementia, it's important to get to the doctor and get it checked out, because your patient will progress to the point where they're afraid to go to the doctor, and then what are you going to do? Are you going to knock them down, drag them out, and force them to go? Not usually. Not usually. It's not usually worth the fight, and these patients never ever get officially diagnosed. So then, and it's not the end of the world. That has happened to me. But we end up just doing comfort care and symptom management. We're kind of guessing at what's going on, right? And you might have a physician come. There are traveling physicians that will come to your house. We did use that for a while with my mom. Okay, they'll come draw blood at your house. There are things like that you can do. But I just want people to get a diagnosis early, because later in the disease, I'm too afraid to go to the doctor. I'll say I'll go until it's time to go. And then I'm like, over my dead body, do you want to fight? And it gets real ugly. Get out of my blankety blank house. And that isn't just what they say, right? But we're going to fight. So most of the time we just throw in the towel and we don't make them go. And we bring help in. Okay? Questions about that? Dementia, Alzheimer's. Any questions? Anybody? Okay. Yeah, something up here. Wait 1 second.
Thank you. What is the Okay. What is the
Genetic syndromes.
genetic?
Yeah, so sometimes there are things that are hereditary, like, you know, someone said, oh, if your mom has dementia, does that mean you're going to get it? It's really probably less than 10%. So that's why it's kind of over there with all those are kind of the smaller percentages of things that it would be a genetic trait that would transfer onto you. Okay. Which I think we're thankful for, because I've got it in my family. Anybody else have it in their family? Yeah. Yeah, I know. But you know what, guys? Even if they say 50% of us, guess what? There's who didn't, right? Yeah. We'll be on that part of the team. Okay, let's talk about this. So it can be really difficult to get this diagnosis. As a matter of fact, Most people would rather get the diagnosis of the C word now, cancer, than the D word, dementia. Because it's scary, it's unpredictable, right? We don't really want to go through this. So what happens a lot of time is we're like, you know, and we don't always tell, kind of keep, doesn't want anybody to know. That wasn't my mom, but you know, that happens in families sometimes. We're like, she's not that bad anyway. We're not gonna tell anybody. It's gonna be okay. And sadly, a lot of these folks don't get diagnosed until it can be several years into the disease before we get them diagnosed. All right, you might live 5 to 8 years. A lot of them live 5 to 8 years. They say by the time you're showing symptoms, you've probably had it 5 years. What? Okay. We're trying to make people be more cognizant of what the symptoms look like and what we can do to come around and embrace people with this instead of shunning them. You know, because in that line in the grocery store, there was a gal behind me going, oh, geez, right? And the poor lady's doing her best to try and find her money, try and find her card. It was in her hand. She was trying real hard, and she was as frustrated as anybody else. But we don't need somebody going, oh, please, lady, come on. Do you think that helped her any? No. It helped her stress level, my cortisol, my stress hormone? No. But maybe we can come up with a community that could embrace these people. And I think you guys are ready for that. I think Cincinnati's ready for that. We're going to talk about it. So supporting someone living with this disease can be really, really difficult. And they can go through different stages. They're mean sometimes, you know, but again, I like to define mean because I think most of the time we're part of the problem and not part of the solution on that. And it just is ignorance. It's not we're meaning to do it wrong. Okay, it's just that we don't know any better how to work with these folks. All right, so let's discuss the disease and see what you know. I'm going to change diseases on you though, because I know dementia is hard to talk about right off. So we're going to change the disease. So I want you to get a partner and decide which one of you is the spouse or the partner. Okay, can you do that real quick? Can you get a partner?
Teresa?
Yes.
Can we take a couple of online questions first?
Absolutely. Online questions.
The first question is, what is white matter disease?
Oh, white matter disease. You know, and I probably am not the perfect person to give you the definition of white matter disease, but the thing is, when we study the brain, you know, we have the cerebellum, we have the cerebrum, we have the spinal cord, and depending on where we find the disease on the PET scan gives us a good indication of what's going on and what the deficit's going to be. So we can tell if it's in a certain place that it's going to affect vision, or it's going to affect my language and cognition, or it's going to affect different things. And so that's why people are interested in white matter. Where is it? So that's why we want to get PET scans. They're expensive and doctors don't always order them right away. It isn't a routine thing you can go and get checked. But.
And this is one I've heard before. What is the best way to address when mom does not want to eat?
Mom doesn't want to eat. Well, a lot of the time we're asking the question. We're asking a yes/no question. Don't ask yes/no questions, because if I'm not even sure I'm getting all the words on the question, I become really conditioned to just say no, because no means you'll leave me the heck alone. Okay, so they come up with no real quick. So it's like, do you want to get a shower? No. Do you want to eat something? No. Do you want to go somewhere? No. Well, does that mean that's what they really meant to answer? No. Do you know if I go to that patient and I say, look what we got for breakfast? Awesome. Do you know 90% of the time she's going to dig in? But because we're asking those questions, they're saying no. It's a conditioning no. It's a protective device for you just maybe just leave me alone. All right, because I'm scared. It's a fear thing. Can you just leave me alone? And that's why sometimes I'll talk to caregivers and they'll say, well, she refused. I'm like, no, that's poor care. That's poor care. If I come in and I say, hey, do you want to get a shower? And he says, no. And I'm like, oh well, he refused. Okay, that's not good enough. I need to come in and maybe say shower before or after lunch, you know, and maybe let him have some control on that. Or maybe I say, it's time. It's time for your shower. And I try and know his routine for his shower. He always showered at 6 a.m. So if I'm trying to shower him at 10 at night, is that going to go well? Probably I'm part of the problem just because I've got him out of his routine. What about these women who never showered in their life? You guys got grandmas who didn't shower. They took a bath or they stood at the sink and washed up all their lives. And we're trying to put them into this, we're stripping them naked and putting them into a shower, right? And did we take time to warm up the room, to get their favorite robe, to get nice soft towels, to have the soap ready so we don't leave her there naked while we go find something we forgot, right? So there are better ways to go about doing it. So I think sometimes when we're not eating, we need to really investigate that. Is it just that we're not asking the right questions? Because I had a patient that the son would prepare these wonderful meals for her, plate them and everything in the refrigerator. But she couldn't initiate opening the refrigerator. And she was getting so thin. And so I'd have to go over there and get her food out. And you'd get her food out and she would eat ravenously. It wasn't that she wasn't hungry, guys. It was that she was missing the part of initiating that step of just opening the refrigerator. Do you think she could live at home alone anymore? No. She either needed help to come in and stay there or she needed to go into a community. We got a question right over here, Dan. Oh, Betty's coming. So avoid the yes, no questions. You'll catch yourself now that I've said it. You'll catch yourself. Yes.
Hi, thank you for your time. Kind of a curiosity question. What are some examples of testing that someone would go through? Is it a question and answer? Is it taking brain waves? Is it, I don't know,
Yeah.
blood tests? What are some examples?
You start with your regular GP. You start at your regular doctor, and they may just rule out normal disorders, like maybe your blood counts are low, or maybe you've got an infection. That can make us not think right. It could be urinary tract infection. It could be something else. So just go into your doctor for just the basic, how are you doing? And they're going to take a look at you and they're going to get your vital signs and see if we can rule out anything else that's going on. They may do some type of a 30-question type of an evaluation. It may be those questions about what's your name, what's your birthday, right? Where do you live? What's the date? What's the month? What's the day of the week? So they may do you the 30-question thing and see how you answer those. Personally don't love those tests because depending on whether you were a school teacher, you're the engineer, or whether you were the stay-at-home mom, you might have different skills and talents and abilities. And so I'm not sure it's good to measure like that. But depending on how you do on those tests, I really recommend that you go to a doctor, go to your GP, but then if there's anything worrisome, then we go to the next level where they're going to bring you in for 2 and 3 hours of testing. Okay, and they'll do more testing, and that may even include some type of a scan. Some people are doing PET scans now. Sometimes they're doing spinal taps, right? They may want to check your hormone levels and stuff. There's theories that that's part of the culprit, right? So, but it starts with just going to the doctor the first time, get the balls rolling, and then find a doctor in this area who's good at testing for brain disease. Usually it's a neurologist, doesn't have to be, but it's usually a neurologist, brain doctor, right? But look around, ask around. People know who the good doctors are, right? And ask around. And I would head that direction. A friend of mine, a mentor of mine, Teepa Snow, and we'll talk about her more later, she told me that it'd be good if you all just knew your baseline. Like we don't have symptoms right now, but what if you and your spouse or you and your daughter, what if you guys asked each other just a simple 1-minute question that you had somewhere, and every 6 months to a year, you guys check your levels. And it's as simple as this. It's just the animal test. So I set my timer and I say, okay, name as many animals as you can name. So I don't care if they're fish, whales. I don't care if they're dogs, cats, or elephants. I don't care if they're mammals or birds, but you just name as many as you can in a minute. And that's your number. Now, when I did this in a big group like you guys, guess what? Some people had 18, some people had 60. And I'm going, uh-oh, who's got the 18? But guess what we learned? We're not comparing it that way. What we're doing is the next time we do it, 6 months to a year, we're comparing it with just us. So if my number was 22, and then the next time I'm coming in with a 12, that's a pretty big problem. Then that's a significant change in a cognition, right? So I'm just saying that's a very simple test that you can do each other, right? And you're comparing you to you. You're comparing apples to apples. All right, so there's a lot of tests. I mean, the lists are long as to how many tests are out there to try and test for cough.
We have one more question from an
Okay.
online viewer.
All right, I just don't like to put people in a box because you might be different in the morning than you are at night too. So like if I stage you you're a stage 4 on whoever's scale in your disease, but you know, in the morning you might be different than you are in the evening. So I kind of don't always love putting people in a box. Okay. Online.
Yeah, we have an online question. The question is, how do you respond to a spouse with dementia that accuses you of infidelity and it is untrue, but they don't believe you and get very angry and violent?
Yeah,
in
that's
accusation.
You guys, super, super tough. So I haven't gotten to this part in the program, but I want to teach you about something called anosognosia. And that is something that came up on the radio this morning to Brian, because he asked me, how do you tell somebody that, hey, we hate to tell you, but you're losing it. You know, you're not really, you're not doing things right. And I said, you don't. Because if they don't know, if they have anosognosia, which at least 50% of the people that have brain disease, they have this condition. And what it means is I don't have the ability to recognize my deficit. I don't see it. I don't know I'm sick. Legitimately, I don't know I'm sick. Very difficult. So a situation like that is so tough. And honestly, as the disease progresses, some of these folks don't even recognize their spouse as the disease goes on. I had a client who would take his wife to bed and get her in bed. She was in a wheelchair at this point. But by bedtime, she would call 911 once she got in bed, saying there's a strange man in my house. She didn't recognize him at night. His voice was good. But when she saw him trying to get in her bed, she would scream hysterically and get her phone, and she would call 911 and call the police on him. Similar situation to what this poor person's having online. So the fact is that you just need to initially apologize. I would love to spend more time with them. Maybe we send them to my website, teresayoungstrom.com. They put an email question into me, and I can get more time to tell them about some techniques that we might do. So for this gentleman, we were able to turn the lights down so she really didn't see his face. And he talked to her constantly as he got her to the bedroom and got her tucked in, and then turned the lights down again, okay? We were able to put that Band-Aid on for about a month while we found a place that she was gonna need to go. But I did have another client who that thing happened, because you know what? And don't you feel like you are younger in your body than you are in your skin? Yeah, what is that? Well, guess what? With a brain disease, it can really go back. You can be 20, 30, 40 years younger, and you think you are hot stuff. And who's this old guy here? I'm hot stuff. Who is this old guy? I don't know who he is. You know, and she might say her husband's awesome, but you aren't him. Oh my gosh, anosognosia. That's not knowing that I have a brain disease. And if you come at me and try and correct me on that, we are going to go. We're going to go toe to toe. All right, we are going to fight. And so I would like to spend more time with that person online. Go to my website, get me that question so that I can give you some more techniques. We need to break it down. I want to learn a little bit more about your routines and how you're doing stuff. Okay, all right. So you're supposed to get your partner, and we have diabetes. Okay, we're going to start with diabetes. I'm trying to break in early. So with your partner, one of you is the patient, one of you is this supportive spouse or partner. Okay, and I want you to talk about how do you support each other with diabetes? What is the patient going to do now that she or he has diabetes? And what are you, the spouse, the supportive spouse, going to do to change things around the house now that they have diabetes? Go. Take a minute. Take a minute. Okay, for the sake of time, let's take a time out. I want to hear how we're going to treat diabetes. What are we going to do? We're coming up with the microphone. Raise your hand if you came up with something as the patient that you're going to do different now that you have diabetes. Here's one up here in front. Here's one. What are you going to do different? You have diabetes now. What are you going to do?
She told me I can't eat sweets anymore.
She said you can't eat sweets anymore. So that's what your supportive partner is going to say. Okay, what about you? What are you going to do? Now you have diabetes. What do you think you have to do different?
I quit eating sweets.
Quit eating sweets. Okay, well, that's what we know about diabetes. Anybody else? Anybody else? What are you going to do? Activity-wise, grocery shopping, anything else?
Okay.
What are you going to do?
I would have to watch what my sugar level was.
Okay, you might check your sugar. Yeah, love it. Yeah, that's with diabetes, sure.
Exercise.
We should be exercising, right? Absolutely. Anything else?
Hide my cookies from her.
Hide the cookies from her. That is a very kind thing to do. Although we don't want you to get diabetes too. So yeah. All right, let's stop there for the sake of time. Because, you know, we talk about diabetes, I mean, am I right? Would you guys rather get a diagnosis of diabetes than Alzheimer's? I know, most of us would. Although diabetes can be devastating. I mean, we can lose a limb or we can end up on dialysis. Okay, well, let's jump forward then. And let's now say we got dementia. Take a minute, talk with your partner. What are you going to do different now that you just got the diagnosis of dementia? Go. All right. We got the mic back here. Dan's ready with the mic.
Right here.
Dan, okay, here we go.
I was just saying what I would do was I would do as much as I could early on, learn as much as I could about it so that I could prolong the quality of life until it got to the point where we couldn't.
I'm impressed because most people wouldn't understand that. So if you all didn't hear what she said, she's going to plan ahead. Now that she knows she has this diagnosis, she's going to use whatever time she's connecting the dots to make good plans, right? So that she can enjoy her life to the best of her ability and make good choices now when she can't make choices later. Excellent. What else are we going to do? Yeah.
Get my affairs in order.
Get your affairs in order. Yeah. Do you have your will and your powers of attorney set up? Do you have the healthcare power of attorney? These are things you got to have together. Awesome.
I just learned that in the beginning with my mother, she would say something and it wasn't true. And I wanted to correct her.
her.
And
Yeah.
I kept trying to correct her. And
Yeah.
after 3 or 4 times, I said, you know what? She's not going to change. So I would change the topic.
Good.
And she'd forget all about
Redirect
it.
her.
She'd calm down.
I like it. So you're going to learn how to redirect. Right. You aren't going to argue with them. You're going to redirect. I love it. What else do we have? Here's one.
Choose a facility now that you're going to need somewhere down the road.
Wow, what a sharp group. Yeah, you should get, well, I don't know what we're going to do. Wow, what a sharp group. Yeah, how about if you picked out your place of retirement? If you get to the point where you can't live at home anymore, where do you want to go?
Yeah, we only take the top students here.
Okay, good.
Um,
I can tell that. You've pre-tested this group. I can tell you. Okay, you guys, for the sake of time, we got to zip because I want to make sure and give you some tools today. Okay, so it's important that we just continue to educate ourselves, right? The PLWD, that stands for people living with dementia, okay? And it's just so important that we educate people. Because frequently we want to push it aside, not address it. I can't deal with it. Let's deny that. She's doing okay, right? And we put it off when we really should be proactive in making good choices. Okay, we want to hide it. Yeah, so I have some people, you know, they bicker at each other. They don't really learn how to work on it, but we fuss at her all the time. Mom, 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 stop that. Mom, 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 stop. Shouldn't do that. Quit, stop. Don't do that. We just fuss at them. And then they get upset with us. We tend to want to do to you, to come in and just do stuff to you instead of with you. These people are not children, right? And we can't fix their problem, but they certainly don't want to be treated like children. So we have to be really careful. We do know how to love them usually, right? But how do we care for them to the end? Okay, so if we're fighting all the time, if we're fussing at them all the time, is that good care? No, that's not good care. Okay, so you need to decide if you're being part of the solution or part of the problem. Let's keep that thought in mind. Am I being part of the solution right now, or am I part of the problem? Okay, so, okay. And I put that up there to remember to tell you, I know how you feel because I felt the same way. I thought, whew, I got to get busy because I don't understand this disease and my mom is suffering and I need to figure it out. And I wanted to let you know that there is an initiative in Cincinnati to make Cincinnati the most dementia inclusive city. Just so you know, Episcopal Retirement Services, they're teaming up and doing a pilot program where they want to come and train people in places like libraries, starting off in diners, in retail places, libraries. They want to come and train the folks there so that you can still bring your loved one there. And, or if your loved one is coming there and they need help, they're going to know how to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. Okay. So anyway, it's called dementiainclusivecincinnati.org. Just heard about it. I mean, this is, well, I think they've probably been stewing on it and talking about it for 2 years, but I'm very excited that we're actually putting this pilot program into work. Sleepy Bee in Blue Ash is already trained. Okay. How exciting is that? Okay. Let's talk about how we can keep the peace. Peripheral vision changes. So something, you know, I do a huge talk on normal and not normal living, because not normal aging, because some things, like when you lose your car in the parking lot, that's not dementia, although it makes us worry. One time I lost my car in the parking lot for 10 minutes and I thought, okay, the teacher is done. Until I remembered I drove his car. And my car's white and his car's black. I was never going to find his car. So I was like, phew, okay, we're good again. Do my animal test one more time, right? Okay, so what we need to know about peripheral vision is something that changes normally just because these bodies are aging, all right? So when I was 25, I could stick my fingers out like this and I could see them both wiggling, looking forward. I can't do it anymore. All right, if I'm honest with you, we're into about right here. Normal aging, it doesn't mean I have a brain disease. When I get closer to 70 or so, it comes in a little tighter. Okay, that's normal aging. Do we all wear glasses by the time we're 50? Or we've got our cheaters in our pocket? We do. Or we got the contacts on so nobody sees we have glasses. Okay, that is just normal aging. That does not mean you have a brain disorder. Okay, but when you're showing symptoms of dementia, guess what your peripheral vision does? Scuba vision. Put your scuba mask on for me and let me know how well you see. Everybody, I want to see scuba masks on. Scuba mask. You can't even see the guy next to you, right? Frequently, you can't even see the food on your plate. You see the guy, the plate across the table, and you're reaching over there stealing his chicken nuggets, right? Because you don't see your chicken nuggets. This is what we're dealing with. So guess what? This is their world. So what happens when the caregiver comes up from the side and grabs him? Scare him. Limbic system, fight or flight. What's going to happen? Probably. Or he's going to yell at me, or he's going to get agitated. Do you think he's going to want me then to take him to the bathroom? Not really. No, I've just ruined my chances of getting him to cooperate with me. Okay, so there's got to be a better way. So first thing you need to know is we should always approach these people from the front. Always approach these people from the front. When they have a brain disease, they lose their peripheral vision. It goes to a binocular vision, to a monocular vision, and their eyeballs don't even look different to you. Guess what my depth perception is once I'm at a monocular? It's horrible. Why do these people walk like this? Because it's so scary to walk. Because I got to look down here, and then I'll go look up there, and I got to look down here. And if we've got carpet with lots of leaves in it, oh my word, I'm going to be tripping over leaves that are flat in the carpet. Okay. I watch people take their fork and eat the placemat. They look like a bunch of leaves, right? And they're trying to get that salad off the placemat. Not doing very good. Okay. Vision changes. That's normal. You guys need to know to always approach these people from the front. Right. Okay. We need to get permission to get in their personal space. It is, since when do we run in and just grab people and start doing stuff, right? Or touch people without permission? It's not right. I need to get permission to get into your personal space. Teepa Snow, with Positive Approach to Care, that PAC certification that I have, we teach something called, it's called Positive Physical Approach, PPA. So what I do when I go in to see a patient is I stop about an arm's length from their arm's length, so that I'm outside their personal space, right? They don't have to defend themselves. I'm outside their personal space. I know they've got scuba vision at least, if not worse. But what if we throw macular degeneration on top of that, or a little bit of cataract or something? And are they hard of hearing? Well, that's independent of brain disease. You're either hard of hearing or you're not. But if you are, it only complicates things. But I would rule it out. That's one thing I would get checked out, the doctor. Get the hearing checked, right? Because if it's just hearing and you're not hearing what's going on, it could just be your hearing. get that checked out. So anyway, I'm going to come in from the front and I'm going to give her a couple things. I'm going to give her a visual and I'm going to give her a verbal cue that I'm coming in to touch. Okay? Visual and verbal. So I come in and I tell her, hey, it's Teresa the nurse. How are you? This is a common gesture you all recognize. If I walked up to any of you in here and said, hey, it's good to see you, he knows exactly what I'm meaning with that, even if he has dementia, right? Which I don't think he does. But even if he did, that's a common gesture and that's very safe. All right. So I'm going to come in and say, hey, it's Teresa the nurse. How are you? I'm not going to lean down. I'm just going to stay back here. And then I wait. Because guess what? Along with our, just like our peripheral vision changes with age, so does our processing in our brain. Okay, so my brain doesn't process as quick as a 25-year-old, and but it's better probably than a 75 or 80-year-old. That's just normal aging. That's not brain disease, you guys. That's normal aging. So if already the processors are a little bit slow just because of age, I need to wait until he responds and gives me a cue that it's okay to come in and touch him. He may just extend his hand, right? But maybe he's to the point where he can't extend his hand anymore. Maybe all he can do is kind of wiggle a finger or wink at me or something. But I want you to wait and give them time to process and accept you before you come in and then touch them, okay? Then it's okay to come in and touch them. Positive physical approach. You will ability to get your task done, because what I really needed to do was maybe help him get to the dinner table or it's time to leave. But you'll increase your chances of getting your task done, whatever it was, by about 80% if you'll be patient getting into their personal space and get permission before you touch them. Okay? All right. Questions about that?
We have one online.
Okay.
We have an online viewer who's wondering, how can they be supportive to someone who lives far away from them, whose spouse has just been diagnosed with dementia?
Wow. So really tough. What we want to do is not, so they're trying to support not the patient necessarily, but the spouse. So, I mean, encouragement just sounds like such a small thing. If they wanted to do something, I mean, I've had out-of-town relatives who pay for home care, if they can financially support in some way, if that is an issue. You kind of have to talk to the family and find out what the real needs are, because if financially they're set, then that isn't what they need. They really just need moral support. So maybe they find, maybe they come and visit and they stay with the person who's the patient and let the other one go do some things. Staying in contact, letting them know that you care is just so important. The sad thing is we can't fix it. That's the hard part. We can't fix it. And so many of us feel guilty when we're not there to help, right? It's tough. It is really tough. So I would say if you can travel to go see them, you can send cards, phone calls, or just encouragement. One thing I don't want you to do, though, with your phone calls are really great, but if you're talking to the patient, don't ask questions. Tell them stories. And always tell them who you are. It's Teresa the nurse. Even when I get to my mom's, most of the time she knows who I am. But I still say, hey, Mama, it's Teresa, right? I don't let her guess, because her starting to guess can get her agitated. It can get her stress hormones going, right? And next thing I know, then she might be, just get out of here, right? All right. So if they want more support, maybe that online person, go to my website, teresayoungstrom.com, and give me that question, and I can learn more about the situation so I can give them a better answer, okay? But long distance is really tough, and it makes us feel guilty when we can't help. Okay, what if they say no? This is the anosognosia part that I already talked about. So if they have anosognosia, and you'll know because the ones that know they're sick are always tearful, they're depressed, they're sad, I'm losing it, I'm so sad, I can't, right? They're depressed and sad and tearful. The ones that don't know they're sick want to just argue with you, right? I can have a conversation with my mom, and she's awesome. And you know what? I kind of see it's a blessing that she doesn't know she's sick. She doesn't know she's sitting in a wheelchair, but I can tell her story. I got a new client, they've got Alzheimer's. She'll go, that's a shame. She's very sympathetic, but she doesn't know herself that she's in the same boat. She doesn't know. So guys, I can't run in there and say, hey, can I help you get to the bathroom? It'd be like me offering to take one of you guys to the bathroom and you're like, what? She'll say, I do that myself, with attitude sometimes, okay? Because in her mind, she doesn't know she's sick. They're not. They couldn't pretend that well. No way. It's a brain disease. They don't know they're sick. How do you come alongside and love them when they don't know? With a lot of love, without fight. Okay? Okay, something we're going to do. I want to get to the bangs. We got to be patient and get in their world for sure and stop trying to reorient them. This is old school. We don't reorient people anymore. Okay? We don't reorient people. You get in their world wherever they are today. If you walk in and they're saying, are my parents here? Are my parents here? And they're 85 years old. And you just say, let me check the driveway. You know what? They're not here yet, but I got someone watching for them. Oh, good, good, good. Have you seen pictures of my puppy? And I redirect them to a happy place. Right. But if I had said, now you know your parents have been dead a long time, what happens in his mind? He's going to grieve that like it just happened just now. Like I've just punched him with emotion, with sadness. Is that part of the solution or part of the problem? Definitely part of the problem, you guys. So let's be part of the solution on this. I'm going to try and bring him joy in the moment. And if it means I make up a little story, I might do that. But guess what? Make your story good. Because if you don't have a solid story when you make it up, they will see through you. And then you are really in trouble now. You have really picked a fight. Okay? One question right here. Dan, I can take one more because I got to get you guys to the bangs or I'm going to keep you over. And I don't want to do that. The lady in the brown.
This is what worked for my mom.
Okay.
Yeah, she would say, where's Art? That was my father.
Where's Art?
That he had passed like 35 years earlier.
Yeah.
And I'd say, well, Mom, he went to heaven. God needed him.
Okay.
And she'd go, oh, okay. And then she would ask about her brother or somebody. Okay. And I'd say, well, God needed Cliff too. Okay. He's in heaven. Telling her he was, and then she.
If that worked for her, then go for it. You guys, if you find something that works, not only do it, write it down. Everybody else can use it. Write it down so all the caregivers know what works, right? Don't keep everybody guessing on what works for Mom. Write it down. So if that worked for her, more power to you. Okay, good. All right, Susan McCulley. I want to talk about Susan real quick. She is from Canada. She gave up everything to go back to Canada to take care of her mom because her brother was going to put her in a nursing home. But Susan didn't know anything about taking care of dementia. And she said they would just bang into each other. It'd be 2:30 in the morning and her mom would be saying, I want to go home. They got 4 feet of snow outside. And she'd say, this is your home. And it was. This is the home that she had grown up in. This is your home. Well, she shouldn't have been arguing with her, should she? So finally at 2:30 in the morning, she said, fine. She put a coat on her and she took her to the car and she drove around the block and she pulled in the driveway and she said, it's about blankety blank time you figured out where I live. Susan learned the hard way, School of Hard Knocks, how to deal with this, but she came up with this great acronym called the BANGS, and I want to share it with you because it's something you can take with you and you can use it all the time. So the B in this is to breathe and remember who's got the brain disease. Breathe, make sure you're part of the solution, not part of the problem. Breathe, because really that lets my stress hormone go. Breathing helps me get rid of some of that. If I'm feeling myself, I'm walking in there going, oh, this is gonna be horrible. Take a deep breath, breathe a little bit. Okay, breathe and remember who's got the disease. You're trying to help, right? Okay, the A is to accept and agree whatever they say. Accept and agree. If you come in and they tell you they have just done all the laundry and nobody does a thing around this house, you better say, whew, you must be tired. Let's get some iced tea. And you better just roll with that, okay? Or we can go over here and say, now you know you've been sitting in that chair all day. Oh, is she gonna fight with me? You better believe it. I'm gonna come right back over here and just move on with that. So accept and agree, whatever they're saying. It's 19 whatever, whatever year they think it is. Whoever they think, this person is. We just roll with it. Because guys, guess what? You might get all worked up about that and in 5 minutes, they don't remember. So let it go. Let it go. All right, pick your battles. Pick your battles. Never argue. Never correct them. That's a hard one. There's always somebody in the family who's correcting mom. That's not how we do it. That's not how we did it. There's always somebody who's correcting dad. Oh my gosh, you're just picking fights. You guys, don't do it. It's not worth it. It's a brain disease. Come in there, don't ask questions, tell them stories. Okay, love them through this disease. G is the get over it. Okay, and then let it go. That means that when you do get thrown out of the blankety blank house, which is going to happen occasionally, because I wish I could tell you that you have to do A, B, and C, and then life will be beautiful, but it's a brain disease. It's not that easy, right? We just keep trying to do it better the next day. We learn and we try and do it better. But if you get thrown out of the house and you come back with, what do you want now? What do you want? You called me. What do you want? Okay, so you come in like that, she is going to blast you with hatred. Okay, it's just not going to work. So you have to be able to let it go, let it go. Remember the song? Okay, you got to let it go and come back in. It's a brain disease. Trust me, she has forgotten it. Don't stew on it. Don't harbor it. Let it go. It's a brain disease. Can you do it?
Could I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
You had mentioned is the people who have dementia, is it equally across the sexes, or does it tend to be in one sex over the other?
More she's. More she's. Yeah, and the she's are living longer, but she's. Sorry. Say you're sorry. This is your most important tool. If I say anything today that you walk out of here with, this is your most powerful tool. So when you upset them, and you didn't really do anything, they think you looked sideways at them, whatever it was that upset them, you say you're sorry. I'm so sorry. This is your best diffuser of agitation and their angriness. Just say, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean to make you feel like a child. I didn't mean to come in too fast. I shouldn't have said that. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Can you do it? It'll save you guys a lot of pain. I'm telling you. Just say you're sorry and just roll with it. Okay. That's the bangs. This is Teepa Snow. She's my mentor, okay? She is just a reigning expert on dementia and Alzheimer's care. Her company's Positive Approach to Care. Go to teepasnow.com. There's so much information there, great videos for you. She is so generous with her information. She must have 100 videos on YouTube for you just to go watch. Some of them a couple minutes, some of them an hour and a half. Good stuff. Really good stuff. People online, make sure you go there and check out teepasnow.com. She is worth everything. Oh, she just has a wealth of information. I got to get some private time with her last week when she was in town. Okay, remember, they're doing the best they can with what they have left. Because guess what? This was who your loved one was. Bless you. This is your loved one. You know, and if they're right here, then I want to love them and enjoy them the best they can be right here, because it's just going to get worse. So be able to give them joy in the moment right where they are, because it's going to get worse. All right? Okay. That's my motto, though. Bring them joy in the moment. That's what we're supposed to do. Any more questions? We got just a couple more minutes. Yes, we got one over here. Two over here.
This is a real quick one. Not to get a list from you now, but as people are diagnosed with that in the early stages or even as it progresses, is there anything in the diet that can slow it down, or wishful thinking to reverse it? But
it's a great question. There are theories out there that our diet could be the culprit. And so you have your people out there, you know, promoting Mediterranean diet, let's eat clean, let's not eat out. I would say all those are good things just to make you feel better and be healthier in general, because that's going to make your heart work better. I mean, so there are a lot of great things about that, but we haven't found anything that is slowing the disease process. If you have a true dementia, 2 parts of the brain are dying, and it is chronic, debilitating, and it's terminal, but so is life. But what I'm saying is we haven't found anything to stop the brain cells from dying off. So we might be able to put a medicine in there that makes them act a little better. The chemical balance is a little better, and the brain cells are maybe touching each other a little more smoothly for a little bit. And so they might do better for a little bit, but there's nothing that's going to stop the disease, the cells from dying. It is a brain disease that kills kills the brain cells. If you look at the scans, the brain is like 1/3 of the size it started, right? I mean, it shrinks down because the brain cells are dying.
We have time for just 1.5 questions.
Okay.
You referred to the downward slope.
Yes, sir.
Is there a normal timeline, or is it different for everybody?
Depends on which one of those diseases you get as to how quick or how slow. Alzheimer's, they're saying like 5 to 8 years, right? But they could live 20. A lot of it depends on what is your other general health like. Do you already have heart disease? Have you had 2 heart attacks already? You know, or are you already a diabetic, or do you already have congestive heart failure? Those will complicate. Or if you fall and break your hip, that can really complicate things, can it? We've all heard people, they fall and break their hip, and things go downhill. So it kind of depends on what else is going on with you medically. Good questions.
Hello.
Hi.
I've known of a couple of cases. They didn't have dementia until they had a serious fall. And then after the fall, the dementia was 100%. And is this something that we should all be aware of, that a fall can do that? Or has this person always had some of the dementia going and it was exacerbated?
Probably the latter. But let me ask you this. Did they have surgery with anesthesia? Was it they had their hip repaired? Did they have surgery? Or were they in the hospital?
Of the 2 cases I know of, surgery was not a issue.
Okay. All right. So it seems like when they fall, if they break a bone, it does seem like they then get worse. It could be just now that we've taken them out of their environment where they were doing okay in their disease in this environment. They knew their routine, they knew where things were, they knew how to make the coffee still, they knew how to function. But we put them in a strange environment now. I don't know where anything is. I'm scared, I'm stressed out, I'm acting out, they're giving me maybe medication, and I'm confused. And so, yeah. So, but I can't tell you that everybody who has a fall is going to do worse. It isn't that cut and, but it certainly is a trend there that once we go into a hospital situation and maybe then to rehab or something, that we certainly see the disease kind of bloom if they had it. Yeah, it probably was already there.
Let's thank our great guest, great speaker. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You are welcome.
Hey, just a couple of things real quick. So I think we had more people online tonight than we ever have. And so thank you everybody for joining us. But I just wanted to show you, if you don't know how to watch a class.
I saw you the whole time.
For anybody that,
saw you.
Teresa, you'll have to turn your mic off. For anybody that missed tonight's class, that you want to show them how to watch this, if you go on the website, the class that says March 26th, after tomorrow, will go to the bottom of the schedule. And Jay, if you can take us down all the way to the bottom of the schedule, keep going. And well, we may have to wait on that. But if you go all the way to the bottom of the schedule, you'll see a link to the class that says to watch a complete recording, click here. And you can watch the class in regular time, slow motion, anything fast forward through what you don't want to see. So I hope you'll tell your friends about that. And let me just show you, if I can show you real quick. So there's a previous class right there. So the class we had last Friday, to watch a full recording of our class on gun laws, click here. That's what you do. A couple other things super quick. If you still have your tickets, I forgot about a giveaway I needed to give away tonight for a cool group that works in our building called Visionaries and Voices. It's a book bag. These are some disabled artists that work out of our building here, and they just celebrated their 12th anniversary, and they asked me to give this away tonight. So I got a book bag for you. Get your ticket out if you've still got it, and then we're going to let you go. So your lucky number is 859. Still here? 859, 859, 859. We'll do one more, and then maybe we'll save it for the next class. I should have done it at the beginning. How about 892? Right here. Congratulations for the book bag. So Jerry in the front row here is going to watch to see if you sign up for his class. So I'm expecting you all to do that tonight. And thanks for coming, Jerry. We look forward to your class Tuesday night. Everybody have a great night. I'm glad you could come tonight. Good night. Oh, make sure to get your article on the way out, and there's a few more copies of the PowerPoint if you want to give one away to somebody you know.